and inside the OHC 2023 Expo. Super excited to be here. I can't even say it's the Arvik Expo anymore because they've rebranded to Ojai.
Oh,
Sitting here with Todd Burbridge, by the way, from Blue Water. We're going to do a one-on-one interview with the man, the myth, the legend in a second. But just super excited to be here. I really am kind of a fan of this Ojai thing, right?
it is amazing.
I've long thought, for one, it's not a heart condition, so no offense, old Arvik, right? Like that. I can think I can say that now, right?
Great,
That's
right.
fine.
It's gone.
Obviously representing the outdoor hospitality industry as a whole, just bringing together RV parks, campgrounds, glamping, and all the things that they hope to do in the future. So just really excited to be a part of that. But today we really want to focus on Mr. Todd Burbridge. It's the first time I think we've done kind of a one-on-one
Yes, sir.
interview with you.
No, I'm grateful. Thank you
And
for
so
having me.
we've seen you on, Woodall's doing some of their shows and things like that. Obviously, we're here with, Modern Campgrounds. And I really feel like we would benefit as an industry from doing a deep dive into the mind of Todd Burbidge as
Okay,
quickly as we can
I
here and
will.
in maybe 15 minutes or something like that. So, Todd, why don't you just tell us how you got started in the industry? And what I mean by that is not the first time, like it's easy to say this is the first time I bought a property
Sure.
or acquired real estate. But I think, as we heard in the keynotes the other day, there's a story, there's an explosion, there's a change, right?
Right.
So tell us where Todd came from first.
The story of how Blue Water became campground operator, manager, and owner is by a colossal mistake. And so in 2004, we purchased a parcel of real estate in West Ocean City, Maryland, which is where my hometown is. We're going to turn it into a first class housing community. It was in abysmal state. It probably uh, the Worcester County dump, which is the county I live in,
Okay.
was very similar to what the condition of this property is. I drive an F-250, and it would the potholes in the road would swallow it up. Sewer was all over the ground everywhere, but it was an amazing piece of real estate. Waterfront overlooked the national seashore. That's why we
Just needed
purchased it.
tender loving care.
Needed a whole lot of tender loving care. But what happened was, even in its abysmal state, we managed it as a campground, not knowing what we were doing. And lo and behold, it made money as a complete hunk of junk. It made money. And so the crash of '08 came around. And right at that same time, we're like, well, what happens if we do a world class campground? And my father and I founded a company together, but one of his mantras has always been that if you do it right. Don't ever do anything,
Half-assed. We
half-assed
can say
or
half-assed. It's
okay,
not
good.
regular
All
broadcast
right,
TV.
good.
Yeah.
So don't ever do anything half-assed. Don't do it halfway. Don't ever do anything. So we decided to completely scrape the ground, turned it into a world-class campground. We themed it after Bohemian, so there were Bohemian colors everywhere. It had palm trees on the beach. It actually had a beach bar. It had a really cool pool. We didn't know what we were doing. We had no idea. We had
It looked
300.
good. That's the good
Yeah,
start,
we had
right?
378 sites stuffed on 25 acres, and it was an absolute 100% home run. And so from that point forward, how we evolved into and I had nothing to do with it. I'm the dumbest guy on the team, right?
So am I. That's okay.
Right. I mean,
Yeah, I'm with you.
we now have either directly or indirectly 4,500 employees across the United States of America, and I am at the bottom of the brain list, right? But we were able to grow the company. We implemented a lot of Marriott systems
Yep.
in the very beginning. We got into the hotel business, became really good friends with Bob McCarthy, who was the COO of Marriott
Mhm.
at the time. Became partners with him in some things, and he taught us about revenue management and guest services and budgeting that you would never understand. So, by way of example, and you would understand, I said, but I would never would have understood. But
I wouldn't have understood either.
we
So I'm
go
with you. But
we
go ahead.
go so deep in annual budgeting that we know how many tubes of soap or bars of soap we're going to need per summer based upon occupied rooms and occupied sites and the number of site nights. And so when you go that deep, you can really manage your property extraordinarily well. And so we were in the very beginning. We did our own campgrounds. We were buying and selling our own. Son was a great big brother to me. They treated me like nobody's ever treated me. They gave me the biggest breaks of my life. One just for a Midwestern Detroit company, they are the salt of the earth, good people. I mean, genuine. I mean, and they're a giant company. international now. But
And sometimes it's hard to see that behind the scenes, right? You
it's
look at
really
giant company
difficult. And you know, I call Big Gary, Mr. Gary Schiffman. He's the CEO of the company. He is as nice and as approachable and as easy to talk to as we're sitting here today.
Yeah.
And so he gave me, because of the trust that we built together, he gave me a long rope to be able to go do what I wanted. And he would buy the assets when we were done, because we bought premier waterfront campgrounds, fixed them up, redeveloped them, repositioned them. And it's just been an amazing relationship, an amazing run. And that's how we got to where we are today. Today, Blue Water Hospitality manages or owns over 60 campgrounds. We're also in the hotel business. We have a marina platform, and we actually just started 2 or 3 years ago our own park model company. It's called Great Outdoor Cottages. Amazing business. We were buying so many park models from really great companies like Cadco, that, you know, even if we sold one more than what we were buying ourselves, we were making money. So that's why we did it. And so we're pretty vertically integrated. We do everything from land development, you know, raw ground, all the way up to management, to exit strategies. We help people who want to get into the business, get in the business. We also help large institutional people. We just took on Apollo Group's outdoor hospitality portfolio. Davis companies who are in connection with HTR. We run all their outdoor hospitality. So we've become known for our Wall Street quality reporting and our Marriott style of management in the campground world. And it's just been phenomenal. And again, I have nothing to do with it.
I don't have anything to do with it in my company either.
So
I can't even host an interview.
Here's how funny it is. I mean, it's crazy, but I don't even know how to check somebody in. I don't have a key to a single property that I own. I don't do any of it. If somebody were to say, Todd, how do you check somebody in on New Book or CampSpot or K2? I know how to be nice. I know how to smile.
It's the same thing I tell everybody else, right? Like, I have campground owners who come to me and say, I don't understand how to do digital marketing. I don't know how to do all this. It's really confusing. The tech, I don't understand. Like, you put me behind a desk at a campground, I'll look at you in a deer in the headlights. We all have our individual talents that are crucial to the success of
everybody asks me what my job is, and I'm a cheerleader.
Yeah.
That's what my job is.
My job is I work for my other employees.
Right. That's right. Exactly. So, exactly. And so Blue Water has an amazing culture. One of the things, and again, it's not because of me whatsoever, but we rank our priorities in this order. Our colleagues, I don't have employees, it's all colleagues. Our colleagues are number one. Our guests are number two. And the reason we do it that way is if your colleague is happy, then they're going to treat the guest happy.
Yep.
If it's the other way around, you don't really get that interpersonal connection. So we have to have happy colleagues who are happy to come to work, that are happy to be a part of it. And happy is one of our corporate mantras. It's one of our mission, vision, values. Happy is right there in our statement. And so happy colleagues turns into happy customers. And then if you have those two, then profits follow. And that's what we do.
100%. So tell me, walk me through, Todd. If I'm Todd and I'm looking at developing a new park, acquiring a park, something that Sun wants me to manage or somebody else, right? I guess maybe more the development side of things.
Yeah.
What are the priorities to me when I'm looking at developing? Not just from I want to build it a certain way or include certain amenities, but what is important to me from the land, from what I'm touching, from all those things?
Super question. And this is 95% of all the assets that we own. All of them are waterfront. And so waterfront is a life-giving element that everybody is drawn to naturally. They want to go to the beach. They want to go to the lake. They want to go to the river. They want to tube here. They want to tube there. 95% of every asset we own is on the water. The second thing is traditionally we like to be as close as we can to public utilities, because operating a wastewater treatment facility, which I've done 50 of, is an absolute
honey wagons and all that.
Honey wagons can be a disaster. The other thing is that we personally, and what we found is like large demand driver areas. So demographics have to be high. Mid-Atlantic is why we like Mid-Atlantic and Florida so much, Texas so much. So large demand drivers, large database of our demographics of people living within the 200-mile radius, all very important. You combine water, public utilities, and in close to big demographics like head counts, it's a winning combination.
I mean, I think I know less about the location and the first two things, right? But I know more about the demand because I'll tell you, just from a marketing side, working for so many campgrounds, they'll call us and they'll say, I bought this RV park and I have no idea what to do with it. And where's it at? Where's that town at? Why do people come to the area? I don't
Right.
know.
Right.
Well, if there's no river, if there's no mountain, if there's no lake, if there's no trout fishing, if there's no
It's,
city that they're already Googling blank campground, you're in trouble.
you're in
You then
trouble.
have to build a whole thing from scratch. And
And
so,
it's
yeah,
organic at that point,
yeah,
and then you're like trying to, you have to create a reason for people to be there. Whereas if you're already on the water, or if you're already in a destination front, Sun Outdoors Frontier Town just won large campground of the year.
congratulations, by the way.
Thank you very much for that. Have an amazing team. But it's located just out of Ocean City, outside of Ocean City, Maryland, that has 9 million visitors a year, and it's waterfront. Has a water park on the front of it, but it's the mix, it's the combination. It's, listen, anytime you try to reinvent yourself, like, in the middle of the heartland on a cornfield, it's a field of dreams, and they don't come true a lot of times.
No. But, so tell me what else is important to Todd. I've heard that you like land conservation. That's important.
I'm
So
huge into it.
talk to me
So,
about the philosophy of why that's important to you.
well, growing up, I was a redneck from Berlin. Still am a redneck from Berlin, but uh, I grew up an avid outdoorsman, hunt and fished, and just loved every second of it. My early years, grew up on a farm. My grandparents were farmers and grew up on a farm, so I loved it all. But there was a giant opportunity to do two things in the conservation space. You can actually do really, really impactful, good corporate citizen work, and you can make money off of it.
Okay.
And so when you combine those two, it's a pretty powerful combination. And so probably in, don't hold me to the exact date, but in the early 2000s, I started doing land conservation on farms that were either eminently developable or on uh, certain waterways that were could be impacted. So one of my favorite properties of all time was in Willis Wharf, Virginia. I had a dog. I named him Willis after the property, but it was on Parting Creek, which is the number one aquaculture spat growing area. So baby clams,
Yeah.
baby oysters. It's the number one in the world. This little teeny creek. It has the perfect salinity, perfect amount. And so I had a farm on it, and I just gave a conservation easement to the state, and I got tax credits in exchange for giving up development rights. And I ended up doing it over and over and over and over again. And I taught all my friends because it's just the right thing to do. There's good development, there's bad development. There's good campground development, there's bad campground development. And so that's why I'm a huge proponent as much as possible. And it can be difficult to get on public utilities because it's more infill than it is more, green pasture development.
If there's something that you would look back at over the history of Blue Water as you've grown to when you started with that campground, right? That you
Yes.
turned it to from nothing into something,
Yes.
a huge success to where you are today. Is there something you would change?
That's a great.
Obviously, you've ended up probably where you wanted to end up or higher than you ever thought you would be,
It's
right? In my
unbelievable,
case, right?
right? Yeah, no,
But there's
it's been an unbelievable experience for us. Again, I can't take credit for any of it. If there's anything that I would change, it would just be to you know do more in the communities that we're impacting, or do better corporate citizens. We try so hard all the time, and we do a really good job of it. But could you give in that other dollar, or could you
of
help fix
course
up that
always,
church
right?
here a
Yeah.
little bit more, or something like that? The communities that we go into, we try to be the best citizen we can be, and we give back a lot. And could we have done more? We probably should have.
I think that's applicable to everybody, right?
Right, right.
Especially me too. So, okay. So, last question: Blue Water in the future. We know you're going to keep growing. We know you're going to
Yes.
manage more properties. We know you're going to develop and acquire. Where's Blue Water in 10 years in your perfect world?
So we have a lot of big announcements that are going to be coming up that I can't tell you about till probably Q1
Don't
of
worry,
this year.
nobody's watching us. We're not live. Please just go ahead and yeah, I'll keep it
Well,
secret.
we have some large private equity funds that are chasing. This space is starting to become an asset class that institutions want to get into. We're here at the show right now with National REIT, really excited about. This is going to be, when this comes out, it is going to be the neatest, probably a crowning moment of my career so far. It's how cool it's going to be. Um, and I see us growing to probably 100 assets. And then at that point, because it's my belief and my feeling that once you get to 100, you no longer, you kind of lose that interpersonal connection and the
That's fair.
ability to provide the best you can be. And so we sort of made boxed ourselves in. So if it's 110 or 120, right? But we don't want to be everything to everybody, and we want to be the best at what we can do. And so there comes a point where you grow too big,
Adapt,
you can't
innovate,
win
change.
awards.
Yeah, you can't. Yep.
You can't win awards, and that's, I didn't get in this to ever win awards, but I got in this every day to make sure that we did the best we could for our guests. Well, we had at Blue Water, we have this other mantra, and that is, there's people in this hallway right now that will save 360 days a year to go on a vacation, right? For 70 or for 6 days, right? That's their life, that's their year-long saving to take their families on a vacation. And we owe it to them to give them the best that we can give. That's our job. That's my job, right? Is to make sure that if you save $2,000 to take your kids on a vacation and go camping, I owe it to you to make it the best experience I can get.
100%.
And so that's what we try to do. And I think that once you get above a certain size, at some point, you're not able to make that. I'm not able to live up to that commitment. And that's where I draw the line.
Well, thank you, Todd. I really appreciate your time.
I
I'm
am
looking
so
forward to seeing
grateful.
your
Yeah,
journey to
no,
100
this is
places.
wonderful.
I think we share a lot of the same philosophies and things, and how we should both more support the community and do right by each other. And I definitely agree with you. Once you get too large, it's really difficult to give that personal touch. And I've seen that in growth in my own company, right?
Right. It's a balancing act, and it's so hard. But when it's part of your core, you
Do
stay
whatever
true to
you
your
can. Yeah.
core, right?
Work
It's
as hard as you can.
money has never been a giant driver to me. It's always been about always doing the right thing.
Well, that's it. And if you can do that, and if you can provide as much value as you can to other people, like the money just
It
comes.
comes.
Yeah.
It comes.
So
So
thank you, Todd.
grateful for your time. Really wonderful to meet you. I'm thankful for everything. And if you ever need anything, I have a new best friend in Berlin, Maryland.
I appreciate you so much, sir.
Yes,
Thanks so
sir.
much.
Grateful.
All right. See you guys later from OHC.
You did great.
Done? Thank you.
You can talk really well off the cuff.
He's a bit of an asshole, like behind the scenes, but like when it comes to this, he's so
I mean,
charming.
talking about this coming from you from inside playing crowd. I mean, I'm like, God, Lord, I'm gonna get eviscerated. You
Yeah.
did great.
I'm pretty good at the live stuff, so I'm blessed. But
That's really cool.
He's got a little button and it says charming.